Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Modern Engineers. We're going to change up the format a little bit because it's been underperforming, and I'm a little bit disheartened by that. But what we're going to do now is just focus on other tasks that aren't necessarily in a format for logistics. So here before you is the actual design for the wellhead for the oil field that we had originally scouted out. So it's pretty simple. I might change the design when we're on the field, but the idea is that we're going to put this on the ocean floor, and this is what's going to kind of be pumping oil out of the ground to our oil rig above it. Now, I do have some other designs behind me here that I'm experimenting with, like this bauxite mine here. This is actually what's going to maintain and do our bauxite stuff, but this is a little bit further down the road. So we're going to focus mostly on Operation Shale at the beginning, which of the series we scouted out an oil field. So we're going to focus on knocking out some tasks on that for the next couple episodes. We're still going to do shipbuilding and we're still going to do logistic stuff, but we're going to kind of all focus on a goal rather than just knocking stuff out. So, this episode, we're going to focus on submarines, specifically the submarines we need to install that wellhead. I'm kind of trying to make it so that I'm just going to lay the startup blocks here because they're going to be small ships. I'm kind of going for an ROV to start, and I have a couple of ideas on what we're going to do. But we're gonna build these submarines so that I don't have to go down there in person and build it. That's not really fun or boring. That's pretty boring. So we're gonna build these submarines. And I do have a couple of design ideas. The first one is gonna be kind of similar to this, kind of like the Jason model, little arms and stuff like that. Something that's pretty small and easy. The first one we're gonna build is definitely an ROV. I kind of have some design requirements. They need to be small, battery operated, needs to be rechargeable. It also needs to have a way to control its dive, lights, and I would like a camera arm if that would be beneficial. And we need to be able to remotely operate it, and it needs to be under a certain size to fit through doors if we ever explore a wreck, and we need to be able to deploy it underneath the bigger submarine. So it needs to be quite small. So that's kind of the idea. We're going to go ahead and get kind of started here. So, first things first, let's get this little remote control down. Kind of want the size to be pretty small, like no larger than 3 blocks tall. It's got to be about the same size as a small ship welder, which is about 3 small blocks. So we'll try and keep it around that range. But we're going to have to maximize every single space that we can. So we're definitely have to grab some of these batteries. I can't use that one, so we'll use these little ones. Might as well put them here, just part of the structure. And we'll do this for some lighting. We'll put some lights on those. And then that's a good start. I want to use some propellers, but I don't really know which ones are going to work best for a submarine because these will be my first subs. I think I'm going to use these flat thrusters here that would be used for aircraft because, I mean, they look like propellers. They'll get the job done. So I'll put one right here for backwards. Have a redundant set just in case. And this one's not going to be doing a lot of the work that the other one will be doing, mostly just because of its size. But it will be good to have on hand in case we ever have a wreck or something we'd like to explore. So we'll try and do some lateral thrusters there. Something like this. And this will kind of give us a little bit of room. It's already 2 blocks tall, so we've already gotten some of the, like some of the thrusters in. Not bad. So next we're gonna grab. Let's see. I'm still kind of just figuring out the shape, how I want it. I don't think it looks terrible so far, but it's a little early to tell. So let's grab one of these connectors. I kind of want it to have a bottom-facing connector so that we can hook up to something like a bed or something like that that we can take down to the ocean floor, or uh, if we ever need to put this on top of something, like say a cradle or something along those lines, something that can connect into its systems. But I kind of want that connector in the middle of the sub, and I kind of need to figure out how long this sub is going to be. There's no way it's going to be super long because it needs to be small enough to fit up onto a mothership. But we're going to have to figure that out here soon rather than later. So let's try and figure out how big I'm going to make this submarine here. Oh, that's the wrong one. We'll start with these. Okay, I paced around back and forth a lot. I might cut that out. But so I tried lengthening the sub. Turned out that I forgot that I needed to be an odd number of blocks in order to fit on top, in order to have a center line. So I just kept it around the same size and then added these little extra thrusters here for full control on this side too. So this will forward. I got some backward. That should be more than enough. Not bad, not bad, if I don't say so myself. And it's got a very clear center, so we can figure this out. An idea will be I'll put thrusters there, like that. But right now, try and figure out the rest of this here. How I want to mount cameras, connectors, and stuff like that. Okay, so I've figured out the back end. I'll show that off in a bit, but right now I'm going to put on these robot arms. So I want 2 robot arms for the submarine. The first one is going to be for the camera, and we'll put it this first axis right here, and the other one will be an interchangeable tool arm. And what we'll do is if we want to have a tool with a magnet on it or something like that, we can interchange it depending on the mission type. Add another hinge there, and then we'll need a rotor. Yeah, I think I'm going to need a rotor, but we're going to bend this all the way forward so it's kind of in the right direction. Grab this rotor here, and we'll add it, and this will be for the camera rotation. And I'll add a little block here where I can actually mount the camera to. I could use that weird camera mount, but I'm probably not going to. Take this camera here, make sure it's pointing the right direction, and there we go, little camera arm. And then here's the back end, and then this will be our backup camera for when we need to dock to things. And there's our forward camera, and this thing will have a bunch of lights all over it, and then this will have a duplicating arm on the opposite side. I'll probably time lapse all that, but so I'm having an idea here. I'm gonna label this one drive before I mess things up. I'm gonna add another remote controller in here just because it might make docking in reverse a little bit easier, but it might also come back to bite me in the ass, so we'll see about that. So that'll be our reversing remote control. Never know with these things. Grab these thrusters again, now that we're done, and we'll go ahead and plop these on here. Those ones. Okay, there we go. So figure out how I want them oriented. Which one's that? Okay, so these ones will be the top. Them on top of those batteries. Those will be our down thrusters, and these will be our up thrusters. And now we have thrusters in all directions. That'll help us a lot. Now, I don't think that this sub will naturally sink, so we might actually have to trim one of these thrusters into a permanent down position. But I don't think that's a bad idea. So next, we're going to need these turret controllers for the arms. And then we're going to need an antenna because that's the only way we're going to be able to control it. So this upper area is going to be our electronics cabinet. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be stuck with the basebone antenna because I'm not going to use a wideband for that. Or a parabolic. So we'll put one of these event controllers up here, somewhere where I can access it. Perfect. Right there. And then we'll put the antenna up in that as kind of the electronics cabinet for the sub. And we'll put the antenna up here as well. Probably in this upper section. Right there should work. This is getting pretty close. And I'll need to lift this up so I can put in the gyroscopes. Wish I had some fins, that'd be nice, but you know what? We'll just use the regular gyroscope. We're gonna need more room. But right there should be fine for one. And since it's such a small grid, we shouldn't need one in every direction. So that one's going that way. We need one going for other way. That should be good. Put this panel back on here for now. No, second thought, I need to weld it all up, so leave it somewhat exposed for now. But yeah, it's looking all right. Next step is going to be pretty much welding it up, but we're not there yet. Just trying to see if there's anything else I can add to this. We are going to have to put in that connector on the bottom. So we're going to have to lift this up. So I can access it. And then we have a couple of spare room here, so we're going to try and use up most of it. I think we're going to get our connector, obviously, but we're going to definitely need to put in some batteries. Can't mount on top of these because of the gyroscopes, so grab some of these magnets. That's not working either. Let's try that. That's not going to work. Oh, damn it. I cut the wrong block. Okay, so options when you get to this point could be to start over or continue on. I'm going to go grab a forklift and carry on. Normally in a situation like this, I would restart, but we're so close to actually just finishing up to weld, so it might not be worth it. So I was going to add these flat panels underneath to attach the magnets to, so that the sub can touch down on the bottom. Something nice and simple like that. Did notice that this is going to be a recurring issue with this submarine is that the arms are kind of getting in the way of the forklift, so lifting the sub is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But luckily it's light enough that it probably won't need a carriage. Now we can do magnets. Right here, here, and a connector in the middle here. Should be good. But we also need these batteries. Right here. Put those batteries there to maximize our space. A little more expensive, but it's beneficial for a longer dive time. And then that should pretty much wrap this up. I mean, there's still some space that probably needs to be done, but aside from that, I mean, there's definitely some stuff that we can put in here. Probably more batteries, to be completely honest. Yeah, it's just going to be some more batteries for now until I want to maximize it any other way. But yeah, other than that, mostly it just needs a cover and it should be good to go. We got our charging points and everything else installed. So now the trick is just going to be to weld it up. All right, that should do the wrap up for the welding. Looks good so far. I left some of the panels accessible because I have some minor corrections to make, mostly with the programming of the robot arms and stuff like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is a quick little paint job, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so that's done. Looks pretty good. I like the white and black. These are the typical colors I usually go for with this faction, at least. Uh, the white also is easier to spot when the sub is on the surface for recovery. And honestly, two contrasting colors looks really good. But yeah, not a bad little submarine so far, and I hope it works really well. I'd hate to see it not work. We're gonna leave it here charging up while we work on the next sub. But yeah, I think this will do pretty well. It should fit through doors too, so it should fit all the tasks that we need to do. But we're gonna work on the next sub now. Okay, so for this one's gonna be a little bit similar, I guess. We needed to first fit this welding area, so that's gonna be the minimum that fits under there. We'll put that down first. So that's gonna be the base platform of the sub. This is where we can actually start building up a little bit. So to kind of explain this design, it's going to have to be a manned submarine, mostly because I can't build anything on the ocean floor into the voxel. So the submarine has to I have to be in the submarine in person to be able to use the cockpit building mode using Control G, and that's the bigger problem here while I build out this frame. Uh, but the biggest catch is that since I have to be on the bottom of the ocean floor and I don't want to be necessarily just doing it with a suit because that's no fun, I want to build these submarines. So this one has to be manned, but it's also going to be doing all of our building and our welding, so it needs to be large enough so that it can fit me in it. I like this cockpit, so we're going to use this one. It needs to be able to support me for a couple hours on the ocean floor, and it needs to have an interchangeable tool area, which is on the front there, to be able to support a welder or a grinder or whatever tool we need. And in this case as well, the small ROV sub, so if we're ever out exploring and stuff like that. And I kind of like the shape that we're going with so far. Now, it doesn't need to be super brilliant or super perfect, but it does need to be somewhat reliable. So hopefully we can figure this out. But right now I'm just going to box out this frame here around the cockpit, give it some needed armor. Oh, I need some steel plates. We're going to give it some much needed armor so that we can protect the player inside the submarine. We're also going to try and keep it a little bit reinforced because we want a decent dive depth out of the submarine and at a reasonable cost, unfortunately. So until I decide to make one of these out of heavy armor, I'm going to limit the dive depths to probably about 100 meters or so just to be safe. I don't want this thing going Titan on me. But so far it's going to look okay. But we're going to build some of the more of this out. It also, we're going to need not only a way to support myself, but bring down supplies. So it's going to have a cargo container. So I'm just going to kind of keep working at this. You see me pause every now and then. I'm just kind of looking at it from different angles and seeing if it looks better or worse. But I guess so far so good. Like the ROV, unfortunately, this one's going to have to carry people for a long, extended period of time, so we're going to need some life support. I'm going to do something like this. Something that'll hook up to the container, because unlike the other ships, I do kind of want an integrated cargo system. And it's important to note when you're building submarines that you want heavy stuff near the bottom and light stuff like air or fluids stuff that you kind of know are going to be lighter in comparison, you want them on top. This will help balance the submarine. Now, since we're going to carry some plies, we're going to add this. Oh, that's off center, isn't it? We're going to add this cargo container. That's going to be kind of the backbone of this submarine here. Nice little spine. That's off center too, isn't it? Yes, it is. Probably had it right the first time. Not bad. Okay, so I'm going to probably just be time-lapsing a lot of this build, mostly just because it's a lot of me just wandering around trying to figure out what I like best. Because I'm still not 100% certain, but we'll get there. Definitely need more supplies, but we'll get there. But right now, the life support is going to be right there in the middle. We're going to put the batteries in the back because they're the heaviest, and we need big batteries unlike the little sub. So I'm going to start speeding things back up here again here soon, hopefully. You won't hear me ramble on. almost there. Getting almost to the weld point. Just got to put in these conveyors everywhere. So many conveyors. That should wrap up the conveyors. I think that's most of the plumbing done. Uh, it's mostly just going to be centralized around this cargo container because that's going to contain almost everything in it. It's just going to make it heavy any other way. I'm a little concerned about these batteries. They're a little bit back heavy, but we'll put on these. We need to put on the charging points so that we can charge the submarine. So probably do something like that. Give me double pair just in case I need to bridge the. Oh no, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna do a double just in case I needed to do more than one connection, but most of this is pretty much done. Uh, Aside from greebling, mostly. uh, most of it's gonna have to get welded up before the panels can start getting attached on the sides. So should be pretty simple. I'm actually going to try and use these curved blocks for once. I never really do use them because they're missing parts, so it's just so out there. And when have I ever needed a 90-degree curve? I do hate it when the game stutters like that. But other than that, it's just going to be mostly greebling, so I'm just going to probably wrap this up here. But I do kind of like the way it's turning out. It kind of reminds me of the Alvin subs, but yeah, it's getting there. So I'm just going to wrap this up. Okay, there she is, all welded up, mostly welded up. There's still a few things I want to add, but she's pretty close. I mean, I cut it out most of the welding because it took me about 2 hours, so she took a lot of components to build. Right now I got her charging, so hopefully it'll be ready here soon. I think I'm going to time lapse the next couple parts because we're going to add some lights and stuff like that, but we're getting there. She's pretty close. Okay, so we're gonna actually add some light booms instead. I kind of like some of the subs. They have these large booms that come out. Now they don't do them these days anymore because they're tangle hazards. You don't want the submarine to get tangled on anything and then get stuck down there. So I'm gonna add these lighting booms on the side of the sub because we don't have to worry about tangle hazards in Space Engineers. I think that's too far out. So yeah, that's too far out. Let me come back and fix that. Oh. Okay, so yeah, they were too close. So I'm gonna pull back this armor here. We're gonna put the hinge like this, and I'm gonna recess the lights into the side of the vessel so that it's not any wider, if that makes sense. Because I want this to be able to fit through that front door, so that if we ever need to store the submarine, we can store it in a warehouse as long as it's got a gate that size. No, I'll be completely honest. I'm not so sure this is going to fit through the front door as it is. I think it's a little too tall. This needs to come back a little bit more. And that looks ugly. So we're going to add these panels here to cover up the electronics. still not long enough, is it? No. Then we'll do something like that. There we go. And then we'll add the boom on here. I kind of want it facing this way, so the cabling looks like it's running somewhere. Yeah, that's all right. We're not gonna have enough room to put it on this side, but you know, in here, so we'll just have to figure that out. And then we'll add the lights on top of it. I think I'm gonna go with this transitional here, this little half slope tip. We'll add a spotlight on the end of that. I need more materials. Oh, there they are. Forgot I dropped them. So far, so good. And we'll basically add large spotlights and then a couple of interior or inset lights, and that'll give us kind of the full range and spectrum of lighting. Or underneath? No. I don't think that's gonna work, but we can try it. Okay, yeah, so it's not clipping, it's starting to clip, but this should fix it, hopefully. Removed some of the top portion here. Might need a little bit more, but we'll figure it out. And by we, I mean me. So far it looks okay. We'll obviously mirror this on the other side. No, I'm not going to show it, but it should be okay. And then this will extend out, and then we have our little camera boom here. We're going to label as we go, though, so that we have these labels in the computer. And then we'll weld it up. We'll grab some materials. Okay, that should about do it. Now that this is fully welded up, we can see what it looks like when it extends. And then we'll have these on the program on a timer that we'll install as well in the electronics cabinet, and that'll allow us to extend these out with the lights on. I think I kind of want them to go just a little bit tilted in so they're not at zero, so the lights are kind of focused on where I'm looking. If that makes sense. Kind of like how they position guns on the wingtips of World War II aircraft. They would cant them in slightly so that they would crosshair over something. That's why their crosshairs were always sighted in to like some range. I think it was like 1,000 yards. They'd have to align them manually before they for performing regular maintenance. But so far it's all right. And we'll reverse this real quick. I'm not sure I'm too happy about the flat panels on the roof. I think that's a little, I think it's just too flat. It needs more definition. But yeah, it seems to fit pretty well. Almost done with this. And then we're going to put the rest of the lights on this. It should brighten this up really. Wait, I'm actually going to start putting lights on here now. And that's if I remember to grab the supplies. I did not. I'll be right back. Okay, grab the supplies. Yeah, I'm not so sure I like where these offset. I want to put these offset lights up here, but it's not looking like it's working too well. And I might change the color of the lights. Usually I go for white, just like plain white, but I've been seeing that people have been using some color maps online, you could actually get different types of light bulbs based on the colors. I might like that a little bit more. But for now, white's fine. We'll get those installed. That looks a lot better. It looks like the wiring housing. Oh, sometimes that happens. You just gotta face it the right way. Yeah, that looks all right. Cool. Now I'm gonna go get all the components and probably fast travel all this or time lapse it so that I can just put all the lights on and put the other boom in. Okay, so all the lights are installed. I'm going to add one more thing to this sub. Not that I think that I'll ever use it, but it'd be probably nice to have it rather than, you know, need it. We're going to add a light boom, or not a light boom, I already did that. We're going to add a camera boom, or just not really a boom, just more of just a swivel camera so I can look around. This is probably the worst place to put it, and probably the worst just in general, but it'll be okay. It's gonna be a small camera. It's not gonna be super crazy. That's well, that angle is super crazy. We're gonna fix that. Probably something like this. There we go. It's a little bit better. And then we'll add our rotor here. Our hinge for elevation. Oh, we're going to need a rotor first. All right, so azimuth first. So put that. We're going to have to build this up further, aren't we? Try this again. Put the rotor here first. That'll give us a little bit more leg room. So I don't want it interfering with the docking area underneath it. We're going to add a camera. There we go. Make sure it's level. Then we're good. And that's kind of the basic design. We'll weld this up pretty easily. We'll add like a cover or something on the top. Super simple, and then we'll program it. Nice and easy. Make sure we label as we go. Cam AZ. Camera elevation. That's corner light. Hinge. Cam L. Okay, that should be the last of the materials needed. Super simple. We'll add. Yeah, that looks pretty okay. It's not crazy. It's just a little camera. If I was thinking right, I probably should have put it on a hinge so I could see it as a backing camera, but it'll be fine. It's not great. Okay, so we'll program this using the turret controller that I still haven't that I installed on board. Just make sure this is the camera. Then we'll search for our elevation hinge. That one. And then we'll look for our azimuth rotor. That one. And then we'll assign it the camera, which I definitely forgot to label. There we are, right there, arm. And now we hit control. Ah, this is the wrong camera. But hey, look, the control's working at least. Might have to invert them because they don't seem to be wiggling in the right directions. But hey, it's better than nothing. I'm having issues with the labeling of that camera, so I might have to do it outside when we're not connected to a grid. That's okay. That's next. We're going to actually move these things. Just make sure I relabel this camera the right one. Yeah, now we're going to move these things outside. These things look so cool outside. All right, last job on this episode. We're going to paint the sub. that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear some crowdsourced names for these submarines. So make sure you definitely help me name these subs, and I'll pick the best ones, and we'll put the names on them on the next episode, if not the episode after that, because I think I'm actually almost done, ready to record that. So, like I said earlier, I'm changing the format a little bit. We're gonna actually start knocking off tasks off of the operational readiness list. So, the next episode, instead of it being a logistics episode, because this one was a shipbuilding one, we're actually going to roll right into Operation Shale, which we're going to try and complete phase one, which would be installing the oil well behind me, and we're going to use these two subs to do it. So, next episode, we're going to get underway and get these ships to and putting some work in. So definitely leave a comment below on what you guys think that these subs should be named. Sorry for it being a little bit of a long one, but we'll see you guys on the next episode.